again for being obedient and for sharing what God laid on your heart to share concerning the attitudes to be or the beatitudes. Thank you so much. And we received tonight as we usually do, but I just want to emphasize that we did receive tonight, and we thank God for you and what you're doing. And good evening to everyone else. If you're new, then we welcome you to the Live Right family. This is who we are. Tonight, as you see again, my video, we know what the issue is, so definitely the next time I'll be back up on video. Don't have time to deal with it tonight, but we're gonna just have to do audio again this evening, and then I promise you the next time you'll be able to be back up on video. So if you're new, this is how we do it. For the first half, First Lady would share, and then for the second half, I would come on and share. This part is more interactive. You can stop me, you can raise your hands and ask questions, make comments, and be an integral part, an interactive part of what we are doing. We are looking at a new topic, our last topic, this thing called Love Came to an End last day, and we're jumping on to a new topic. Really, the broad header is how are you? But we are looking at the word regret. Regret. We are looking at regret. What is regret? It is something experienced by every one of us. I am not sure if there are people in this world who never regretted anything. I don't know. I find it hard to think that there are people who never regretted. But we need to understand this thing, regret, and how it affects us. And the dictionary definition, or rather my definition based on several definitions from the dictionary, is that regret is a feeling of sadness, remorse, or disappointment caused by something that you have done or not done. So it's a feeling of sadness, remorse, disappointment caused by something that you have done or not done. And we used some examples last evening. I told you sometimes you say things, you might use obscene language, or you say something to somebody that hurt them, and then when you realize you said it and you see the reaction, you regret having said it. And then things that you would not have done, your car break down, you realize you didn't put gas in the car, or you sit down to do an exam and you realize I did not study. I didn't pay attention in class. And you regret not doing that. So that's what regret is. And we said it's a negative emotion. And that is focused on the belief that if your action was different, if you had done something differently, then you would have produced a more desirable outcome. In other words, where you are at this moment, if things had been different, if you had taken a different course, if you had done something else or not done what you did, then where you are now, you would not have been. So it's deep sorrow. It implies things like pain and anguish and grief and woe. And as we said, it is caused by deep disappointment or remorse for missed opportunities. So as we begin tonight, I want to ask the question, and I want some feedback from you. Why do people regret? We kind of said it already, but I want to hear from you. Why do people regret? Talk to me, somebody. Why do you think people regret or experience this thing called regret? Talk to me in your own words. Who will be the first to answer? Who will be the first to put up their hand? Who will be first to make a comment? Talk to me. Why do you think people regret? If you were to explain in your words why you think people regret, maybe you could think of your own situation and something that happened, and you regret. Why do you think people regret? Anyone care to share?
Dr. We have some comments. When things don't go as planned, because of shame, people experience regret when they are disappointed by certain actions. Disappointed.
Hmm?
We have no
Oh,
hands up here.
okay. All right. So, and these are all correct. All right. We regret because
We have two
we,
hands. It just came up.
okay, go ahead.
Right. Yene and Debbie. Sister Yene first.
Hi, good night, everyone.
Mm.
I think, are you okay hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I think when, as I said, like if you're now, people feel like their lives now would be different. And I think if like your life isn't meeting your expectations or you have some level of discontentment in your life, like we have a tendency as humans to like reminisce and want to rewrite history and see, okay, if I had done this thing different, then maybe now I'd be more satisfied with my life. So I think is really rooted in like dissatisfaction in the now.
Dissatisfaction. Okay, thank you. And who else it is?
Sister
Good
Debbie.
night.
But before Sister Debbie, just give me a minute. Someone said Dr. Richards, not accomplishing something, not thinking about doing before you do it because of, I think, I don't understand. Another one said did or say something to be sorry or sad. Sister Debbie.
I will have to get back with you later. I kind of get busy right now, right? So I'll come back with it.
Okay. All right, no problem. Understood. All right. So people regret, as I said, when you look at the now and you think about where you are, and what you did to get there, this is not the outcome that you wanted. Whatever you did, this is not what you wanted. That's why you regret. If it had turned out the way you wanted it to turn out, you may not have regretted it. And sometimes what happened is devastating. The consequences of what you did. Maybe as soon as you did it, maybe you said something to somebody and you see the look on the person's face, you see the hurt and the pain that you caused them. It makes you want to regret. It makes you regret. You think that you should have done something better, but you didn't. You had the opportunity to do something better, something different, but you didn't. And you can't, in some instances, you can't believe, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I said that. And these are the things that cause regret. When we look at where we are, where we were, and what we did that made us come here or get to this point, that's why we regret. And all of us experience that. So let me ask this question. Can somebody regret something that somebody else did? In other words, can you regret for somebody? What do you think? Can you regret for somebody? Somebody did something and it turned out to be bad. Can you regret for somebody else? What do you think?
Dr. Do you have a comment? Someone says yes. Yes, you can.
Okay.
I think I want to say yes to Dr. Richards. We have another comment say yes, a bad marriage. Ouch. Someone says I don't think so. And we have Sister Debbie hand up again, Dr. Richards. Someone said
Sister
yes
Debbie.
for another comment, yes for my family, yes for my family children. Sister Debbie?
Yes, good night again. The other day I came home, right? And I gave my daughter instruction. I mean, she's 18 years old. We still give instruction because they were living under the same roof. And son is a child. Well, you know what I mean, a child. You have to take the instruction. Anyway, I left and I came to work. And exactly what I told her, don't do, is exactly what she did when I reached home Monday morning. What's now? Professor, I heard they said the other day how you get vexed. I think it's you get angry. I think you get angry, yes. And like when they get angry, like the whole earth does shake. So when I reached over them thing and I saw what I told her, she didn't do what I told her to do. I started to fix up. Was a see body place now. I have my bag on my back. I ain't drop nothing. I just have my bag on my back. I started to take up the garbage. I started to do all kind of thing. But something in me, you know, like digging it, pressing. I just couldn't take it no more. And everybody who was sleeping wake up, and the neighborhood wake up. That's to tell you how I get on. And Professor, when I finished, all I belch out and I vomit, I didn't feel good. I regret it. I regret. You know why I regret? I regret because that very sad morning, you understand, I had a nice prayer session with the sisters and them, and we were speaking about the spirit of the sermon and how it has come in so subtle now. And here it is, I leave and I went home. You understand? It wasn't even a good 2 hours after. And when I went home and I saw what I saw, everything went through the window. Everything. And after I finished, Professor Line, you know how you said you regret? I really regret. I was moved to tears because I said, "Wait, boy," you know, I felt like I lost something then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I lost everything that the only blessing we get this morning, like I lost it. So that was my total regret. That's how that's me. And the next answer to your next question, yes, I think you could regret. My marriage was one. I regret.
Right. So the question, thank you, Sister Debbie. The question was, can you regret for somebody? And for those of you who said yes, I wanted to explain to me how you could regret something that you were not involved with. How could you regret? Maybe your regret might be, well, I should have done something about the situation, but that is your regret. That is not the person's regret. You cannot regret for someone. You can be disappointed. You can look and say things should have been different, but regret has to do with you personally. You might look at a situation and say, hey, this should have been different. But if you are not personally involved, you cannot regret that situation for that person. You may be deeply disappointed. You may think, well, look, this thing should have been different. But if you had no hand in it, how could you regret? So I'm saying to you, you cannot regret for someone. You can feel bad for someone. You can cry with someone, but you cannot regret. The person who made the decision or who said or who did the action is the one who regrets, because they were in control of the situation. You cannot regret something that you were not in control of. I think we talked about it in terms of forgiveness some time ago. Can you forgive if you were not involved in it? Can you forgive somebody who didn't affect you personally? So it's the same thing with regret. You can't regret something that you didn't do, in the sense that you were not a part of that action or that sort. All right? So I want to ask this question, and this is maybe just your thoughts. There are no statistics on it, I think, or maybe there is, but I don't know. But do you think people regret more things they did or things that they didn't do? I hope you understand the question. Maybe even in your situation, the situations where you have experienced regret, what are there more things that you didn't or things that you could have done but you didn't do? Talk to me. Just think about your own situation.
Mm-hmm. You have a few comments in the chat, Dr. Richards. One person said they didn't do, another didn't do, another did. I want to say did for me, Dr. Richards. Another comment said both. You no, that's an easy way out. No, you have to choose.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
goodness.
Thank you. Because of course we experience both. But the question is, which do you think people experience more? Things that they did or things that they didn't do? Look at it that way. You might have said something or done something that caused a problem or caused an issue or caused something bad to happen. Or there are things that you didn't do. For example, you're passing on the road and somebody needed help and you didn't give them a lift, and next thing you know, here on the news that this person was robbed or this person died at the side of the road because somebody robbed them, and you say, this is the same person, you know, I could have given them a lift. I could have, if only I had done something, that this would not have happened. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Dr.
Think-
Richard, we have a few comments. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the majority of them says did. I have more regrets for the things I didn't do, thing they did not do. Another have regret for the things that they said and they did. You know, so again, it's that. I guess, Dr. Richard, it's similar to the person at the supermarket when he was driving off, you know,
Yes.
and right. Sister Yene, I think it was Sister Yene, your hand was up.
Hi, good night again, everyone. So I was
Hi.
having difficulty like deciding, but it kind of is a similar thing that what Pastor Nicole just brought up about Dr. Richards. It is like sometimes you would do things and then you have like a random memory of something you did and like you cringe at yourself. So I would say did, because like sometimes I would randomly remember something from even as far back as secondary school and be like, oh no, oh no. So yeah, I think it's did versus didn't do.
Thank you so much. Anyone else before we move on?
Yes, Dr. Richard, Minister Joshua, but there's another comment. Someone else in the chat says, yes, they regret the things that they did. Minister Joshua?
Joshua? Hello?
Yes, Dr. Richards. Device kind of giving trouble right now, but I think I regret more the things that I didn't do. There's a lot of opportunities that I had that I missed out on that I kind of regret. And I agree with Sister Yeni. Sometimes when I'm going to sleep, just a random memory of something dumb I did from a long time ago just comes back, just all of a sudden at random times. And, you know, you have to cringe at yourself. Like, why did I do that kind of thing? But I think I do regret more the things that I didn't do.
Thank you. Anyone else? So how does regret affect us? What does it do to us? What does it do to you as a person? As we just heard, sometimes you cringe when you think of what you did.
It makes me sad, Dr. Richards.
Say again?
It makes me sad.
It makes you sad, right? What else? Anything else? Just sad?
Depression. Someone said anxiety.
You see anxiety, depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. How about feeling guilty?
Someone says it makes you think differently. Disappointed makes me cry.
Makes you cry, right? It makes you feel sorrow, even remorse. How about shame? Maybe that's why we cringe sometimes when we remember. It makes you feel shame sometimes, think according to what you did. And you know, when you look back at it and you wish the earth could open up, even now, even though it might have happened a long time ago, you're still wishing the earth could open up and swallow you because of what you did. It might have been something public. You might have embarrassed yourself. But that's how regret affects us. And it can increase your stress. And do you know regret, according to the experts, control of the balance of your hormone and your immune system. Just regretting alone could reduce your hormones, well, the balance of your hormones. But even your immune system, you can get sick easily because you're not able to fight off diseases once you experience regret. And of course, it depends on how bad it is. So regret is not just unpleasant, it's also unhealthy.
A few comments, Dr. Richards. Someone says, well, yes, then, and that too, in agreement with you. One says sad, wanting to turn back the hands of time to do things differently.
Oh, yeah. So
Another
I think,
says,
before you say that, before you move on, I think that is what most of all, if we had one wish in terms of regret, that we could go back in time and undo or not do or do something. Yeah? Continue.
Another says it plays with your mind if it's not under control. Another says mistrust. One's agreeing, oh yes. Another says angry with myself. And again, another one says makes me angry. Another, so true. Another says, yes, I regret the things I didn't do. I regret the things I didn't do. Okay, Dr. Richard, I'm not too sure that I'm understanding. It's yes, I
Okay.
regret. Yes, I regret of the things I didn't do it. Say like if I did know, then like I knew now.
Okay, things you know now. If I knew then what I know
Right. So
now.
yes, yeah, the wish they have regrets and the wish what they knew now, they maybe would have
Yes,
known it
yes.
then.
If I knew then what I know now, things would have been different. Yeah,
Right. And
I hear you.
and someone says unforgiven. That's how they feel, yeah.
So let me ask this question again. What is the difference between regret and guilt? What's the difference between feeling regret and feeling guilty? Or are they the same? What is the difference between feeling guilty and feeling regretful? Anybody?
Could it be, I'm just taking a chance, could it be, Dr. Richards, that guilt is something that you've done? Something that you personally have done, so you feel Dr. Richards, Joshua, Minister Joshua wants to
You'll
speak.
come back? You'll come back to
Yeah.
all right, okay, come back.
Yes, Dr. Richards, I think that it's bad feeling that you get. Like the difference between regret and guilt is regret can be what you did or what you didn't do. But regret has to do with what you did or didn't do. Like you feel bad about something that affects you, but guilt has to affect somebody else. Like you feel bad about something that you did that affected somebody else. That is the difference between regret and guilt. So you feel bad for something that happened to you that was kind of your fault. That is regret. But if it affected somebody else in a negative way, then that is guilt.
But when you feel regret as well for something that happened to somebody?
I think that would be, I think it would just be guilt, because guilt would just be feeling bad, right?
All right, okay.
I just
all right, I just want you to see something. When I ask you these questions, I just want you to be clear so that you know what you're saying. You are correct, all right? You are correct. They're both reactions to negative things that happen, right? They're both things that you wish you could undo, go back in time. But guilt has to do with others, harming others, what you did that affected somebody else. It makes you feel guilty. And regret is more self-focused. I should have done something better. I should have done something better. I should have done something differently. And guilt occurs when we do something that we know now is wrong, or even then we know it's wrong. So we knew it was wrong and we did it. That will make you feel guilty. You know you're going to lie. You know lying is wrong and you still lied anyway. It makes you feel guilty. You know you should have done better and you know it at the time and you didn't do it. That will make you feel guilty.
You have a few comments in the chat, Dr. Richards. Hello?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And Sister Mitzi, her hand is up. Regrets telling someone you love them and they reject it. They are not the same. Both is the same, not the same. Sister
Okay,
Mitzi.
repeat that. Wait. I got confused.
Sorry?
Let's read that again.
One comment, regrets telling someone you love them and they reject it, reject your love, right? The second comment is they are not the same, meaning regret and guilt. And someone says both are the same, and someone else says not the same.
Okay, all right, understood.
Mr. Mitzi.
I thought it was one thing. I thought it was one thing you were reading. That's why it was confusing.
Yeah,
There's
sorry,
different things.
my bad,
Okay.
my bad. Yeah.
All right.
Sister
Sister
Mitzi.
Mitzi, go ahead.
Sorry, good night. My hand was
Alright.
raised by mistake. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right, no problem. All right, now guilt really has to do with the consequence of the action. You did something that was wrong, right? So, like, you do something, and because of that, you feel bad. Because of what happened, you feel bad. So the consequence, and because of the consequence, for example, you drive down the road and you're driving erratically and you cause somebody to be hurt or even die, you will feel guilty. All right, that's guilt. Of course, regret will also play a part in that you say to yourself, I should not have done that. So the difference is you feel guilty because of what has happened, the consequences of the action. The regret comes in with the action itself. I should not have taken this action. I should not have been driving on the shoulder. I should not have been speeding. And that's what the regret comes in. My action caused this. And the guilt has to do with the consequence. Somebody is dead, somebody has died, somebody was maimed, somebody went into the hospital, and you feel guilty because of that. Let me ask you this question again. Is it regret or guilt if somebody got caught doing something? So you catch them doing something, or the police hold you with drugs, or you get caught in some action. Is it regret or guilt that that person would feel? Talk to me. What I'm doing here is trying to get you to understand exactly what regret is, because sometimes we get it mixed up with different things.
Yeah, probably. Dr. Richards, we have some comments in the chat. I am thinking, why we can't use the both, Dr. Richards? I think it's both. My first response would be regret, but at the same time, it still feels sort of like guilty. I don't know. We have some comments in the chat. Regret depends on the person. Someone else says both. Another says guilty. And we have Sister Yane, her hand is up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I would say regret, because you said regret is thinking I should have done something differently. So in that case, there is a consequence that affects a consequence of my action that will affect me. I got caught, I could go to jail. So I regret what I did because of that. And you said that guilt is you could feel guilty for something that you knew was wrong and you still did it, or it could be, and it mostly is focused on if it's somebody else and the consequence affected them, like if they got hurt. So I don't think in that case you would feel guilt. You would more feel regret. I should have done something differently because it affects you versus guilt. I did something and it will affect others. I guess you could feel guilt if, like, you see you're going to jail and your mother crying and it's not affect your family, then guilt will come in. But the
Because now it
first
affects
thing,
them.
yeah, now it affects them.
Mhm.
So yeah,
I
that's
hear
my
you.
answer.
Okay, thank you. All right. So what I'm saying is regret places emphasis on the decision that you made to act. That is what causes regret. Adultery, sorry, why am I saying adultery? Guilty has to do with the consequence of that decision. That is what makes you feel guilty, because now your decision has affected other person. I think I was thinking adultery in my head, that's why. So you decide to enter into an illicit relationship with somebody. In fact, let me don't go there yet, because I want to ask a question on that coming up. All right. So I want to ask another question though. What's the difference? And again, we're trying to understand what regret is, right? What is the difference between, or is there a difference between regret and remorse? Is there a difference between regret and remorse? Remorse means to feel sorry about something, to feel sad about something, to say, oh Lord, look what I did. Is there a difference? And if there is, what is the difference between regret and remorse?
We have some comments in the chat. One before, regret because they were caught, but because they were caught in the act, they will be guilty of the act. And we have two people agreeing yes, and Minister Joshua hand is up.
Yes, Doctor.
Hmm?
Yes, Dr. Richards. I think that regret is feeling bad for your actions, wishing that it were different, but remorse is acknowledging that your actions, you could feel bad about it. Like remorse you could only feel remorse if you do something wrong. That's what I think. So you acknowledge the situation and you acknowledge that the situation was bad and you actively try to be different going forward. So like if you get caught with drugs and you feel remorseful, then instead of just saying, I wish I wasn't carrying drugs, you'd actively try to stay away from drugs going forward. So it's trying to make an active change to better the situation going forward. That's the difference between regret and remorse.
Okay, thank you, Joshua. Anyone else?
No, Dr. Richard.
Okay. So regret really has to do with wishing that you hadn't taken a particular action. Remorse is admitting that your action was wrong and taking responsibility for it. That's a difference. Because if I get caught, using the same example, I get caught with drugs, I may regret not having hidden it better. I may regret not doing something so that I would not get caught. But remorse is saying, listen, I should not have done this in the first place because I understand that my action will affect other people, and I am sorry for that. Remorse creates a sense of guilt and sorrow for hurting other people. But regret could simply mean, hey, listen, I should have done it a better way. I should have done it a different way. So your regret may not have anything to do with your feeling anything towards the people that you hurt. Your regret is focused on you and the fact that you got caught, the decision that you made, or even the decision to do it. You can regret that decision, not because it's hurting other people, but because, hey, listen, I could have found some other way to make money, you know. Or I could have, and there's no remorse in it. You just regret because you've come to a position where you are now caught. You are now in a place where you will be punished. You are now in a place where you will look bad. And that's why you regret. But remorse means, hey, listen, I really shouldn't have done this thing. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. And from now on, henceforth, I will not do this thing again. That's when you're remorseful. You can regret and still go back and do it again. But when you are remorseful, or when you add remorse to the regret, it helps you avoid doing this thing in the future. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So regret has to do with wishing that you hadn't taken a particular action. And it may have cost you something financially, emotionally, and led to some sort of punishment or exposure. So you regret. But remorse says, listen, I was wrong. I am sorry, and I'm even willing to make amends. So that's the difference between being remorseful and regretting. Let me ask him this other question. I'll be asking you several questions. What is the difference between a mistake and a regret? What is the difference between a mistake and a regret? Anybody? Think about it.
Doc, a mistake is accidental. A mistake is accident. You make an accident, and it's Brother Dave, his hand is up. Brother Dave?
Brother Dave?
Hello, you hearing me? Good night. Good night.
Hearing you
family.
now, yeah.
Yes, so I have it as a mistake. It's an unintentional action. A regret, maybe a decision you made that wasn't in your best interest.
I like that. I like that. Thank you. All right. You see,
And we have a comment that says,
go ahead.
Sorry, Doc. We have a comment in the chat that said mistake is not intentional.
Mistake is not intentional. So when you make a mistake, you didn't intend to make a mistake. All right. But how about someone who gets caught? Let's use the same example of drugs. You're carrying drugs from one place to the next. And instead of hiding it properly, you made a mistake and you put it in the wrong place and you got caught. Is that really a mistake? Is that a regret? So you get caught and you're saying, oh Lord, I should not have done this. So, all right, we run out of time. So a mistake really is a decision that you made genuinely believing that it was the right one and it turned out to be wrong. That's a mistake. A decision that you made and you genuinely believe that this was the right way to go, but it turned out to be the wrong way to go. A regret is the consequence of making a decision that you knew was wrong, but later on you said, you know, I should not have done that. But you knew in the first place that you were doing the wrong thing. But now, you know, what, regardless of what had happened, either you got caught or now your conscience has bothered you, or whatever it is, you regret making the decision to do that thing. That's the difference. A mistake you made genuinely believing that you were doing the right thing. But regret, it says, listen, in hindsight, I look back and I realize, you know, no, sorry, not in hindsight. You look back and you say, listen, I made a decision. Maybe you made it in haste. Not that you think it was right. You made it in haste. And I'll tell you something. Regret is also a consequence of a mistake that you haven't learned the lesson from. Eh? When you learn a lesson from your mistake, you will not regret. And we'll find out, you know, we'll do some more. We'll talk about that some more later on. When you realize that you made a mistake and you learn from it, you will not regret, because you would now know something more. You would know something better. You'd be in a better position. But if you do not learn from your mistake, you can live with regret. And a lot of people are living with regret. And sometimes we regret because the mistake was so cataclysmic that it's difficult to recover from it. So I want to ask you one last question before we wrap up tonight. One last question. A lot of people, and I've heard this over and over and over, when they are found out, people who commit sexual sins like adultery and fornication, and just the other day, a gentleman, a pastor who was caught in a same-sex relationship. One of the first things they say is that I made a mistake. I made a mistake. They say that all the time. You check anybody who has been exposed, they tell you, I made a mistake. I did the wrong thing. I should have remained faithful. I should not have done that.
Dr. Richards, Minister Joshua.
Go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Richards, I just wanted to say quickly, based on what you said, that's why I think you should always ask the question, when did it become a mistake? When it was initially done, or when you were caught doing it? That's what I should ask.
Interesting question. Interesting question. And that's the question I would want to ask. When did it become a mistake? But this is what is always said, and you check it out. You check it out. Even our famous crying pastor from overseas, when he was caught, he said he made a mistake. And when you look at the reports of these people who are publicly exposed, this is what they say: I made a mistake. But like Joshua says, the question needs to be asked, when did it become a mistake? Because it seems as only after exposure, then it becomes a mistake. Remember, a mistake is something that you do genuinely thinking that it is right, and it turned out to be wrong. So why it is we accept the fact, or we accept when people give us this, and I call it an excuse, I made a mistake. And I'm not just talking about the televangelists, I'm talking about people who are unfaithful to their husband and to their wives. You talk to them and they tell you, listen, or they want the other party to forgive them. Forgive me, please, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. And I'm saying that is not a mistake. If you, knowing something is wrong, you do it, then it cannot be considered a mistake. And you may have regret. You may regret the decision that you've made to do it. But that regret comes because of exposure, and we use the excuse of a mistake so that we can get sympathy. And I'm saying you cannot do that. And you can't even do that with God. You cannot say, Lord, I made a mistake, because you know, especially those of us who are believers, we have the Holy Spirit who prompts us and tells us when we're going to do something wrong. So when we commit sin, don't say it's a mistake. I'm going to stop here tonight. We're going to talk some more about regret when we come back next week. I'm trying to get you to understand what's the difference between regret and all these other things. And we're going to look at how we deal with regret. What do we do when we come to a place where we feel that emotion called regret? What do you do? How do you get out of it? We're going to be talking about all that. Yeah. So we're going to stop here. Any question quickly before we close off? Any comments? No?
Some Dr. Richards, one says, yes, when you learn from a mistake, it doesn't become a habit. Another comment, they learn after being caught. It's a mistake after being caught. Another says, tonight I have learned that I did not understand. Tonight I have learned I did not understand what regret is. Another comment, it was willfully done. Someone else agreeing. And another comment, it is a way to excuse yourself.
Yeah, it is. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here tonight, and for those of you who participated. And participation sometimes might be just listening attentively. Thank you so much. God richly bless you. Have a wonderful weekend, folks. We'll see you back here on Monday for prayer at 6, and of course Tuesday for our kingdom study. God richly bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. First Lady, yours to close.